Hello guys and welcome back to the F1 Tube YouTube channel, and today we mourn the death of Niki Lauda. After a long string of illnesses and obstacles to overcome, Niki Lauda lost his fight with his illness, dying on Monday. Understandably, this has sent shockwaves not across F1 and motorsport, but sport in general. He is the most ferocious sportsman you will ever know after the comeback and after the setbacks he had to endure. Lauda took 24 pole positions, 25 race victory, 54 podium finishes, 3 world championships coming in 1975 and 1977 for Ferrari and in 1984. For McLaren. A legendary career, but that is not the full story. Lauda broke onto the F1 scene in 1971, signing for Ferrari in 1974, and a season later he dominated the sport, taking his first world championship. Lauda was set to dominate again in 1976, but a huge fiery crash at the Green Hell, or otherwise known as the Nordschleife, really hampered his championship chances, and that is a total understatement. That crash could have killed him. It gave him severe, and I mean severe, burns, and his life was well in danger. However, to the tenacity of Niki Lauda, he came back racing 40 days later at the Italian Grand Prix and finished P4. At the end of 1976, Lauda would miss out on the championship by just a single point to Britain's James Hunt. This was after an epic title decider where Lauda retired himself from the race after biblical rain showered the track, but Lauda was back to dominating again in 1977, winning his second World Drivers' Championship. However, Lauda fell out with Ferrari, and by 1978 he signed for the Brabham F1 team owned by Bernie Ecclestone. However, Lauda famously quit the sport in the late 70s, saying he was sick and tired of driving round in circles. But the Austrian returned to the sport in 1982, signing for McLaren. And in 1984, he would win his third and final F1 World Championship by just half a point. Niki retired from F1 at the end of 1985, and since then he has been in a leadership role at some big Formula 1 teams like Ferrari and Mercedes in the past 30 years. He was also in the hierarchy role of Jaguar, the former Jaguar F1 team. But younger F1 fans would know Niki Lauda for being at Mercedes and playing a pivotal role in their dominance, especially contributing by signing Lewis Hamilton in 2012, who would make his debut for the team in 2013. The 3-time world champion has been at the heart of Mercedes' success in the past 5 years. But what made Niki Lauda so special is how he recovered from his deadly crash at the Nürburgring in 1976. It is undoubtedly the greatest sporting comeback in history. Nothing comes close to it. In an era where F1 cars were lethal towards safety, Lauda was so close to losing his life in 1976, but 40 days later after the crash, he returned racing. That is subject to unfathomable tenacity and real mentality. His Herculean comeback did nothing to hamper his speed. He was still a blisteringly quick driver and will always be seen as one of the raw talents in F1 history. He was also at the heart of one of the greatest battles in sporting history, Hunt versus Lauda in 1976, the fierce rivalry which would be the subject of the 1976 season. And Lauda's way of developing a racing car was second to none. His no-nonsense attitude towards racing really impulsed him to be really attractive in his legacy. From both a team's and driver's perspective, Niki Lauda is undoubtedly one of the greatest drivers the world will ever know, for reasons I've already elaborated upon. So Niki Lauda, thank you for your contribution to racing, and let the world mourn your death.